Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you another movie review. This time we're going to be talking about Texas Chainsaw, or Texas Chainsaw 3D. I still have the price tag on it, even though I've owned it for the past couple of years. It's just one of those things that the part gets stuck on it as you try to peel it off. I'll have to take care of that sometime. But I did my review of the 2003 remake yesterday, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I promised my review of Texas Chainsaw, and here it is. Cool cover. I like the writing. This movie, it was terribly received. So I kind of just wanted to give my thoughts on it. Just rewatched this again with my girlfriend. We rewatched both the 2003 remake and this one. I will be going back and watching the prequel to the 2003 remake, The Beginning, soon, which may actually be my favorite TCM film. But I want to give my thoughts on this one too, so it's still fresh in my mind. Like I said, it was very terribly received, and I don't think it's the best Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. It's not great, compared to a lot of other horror movies. There are some things I do kind of like about it, within the movie, I think. Let me just tell you a little bit about the plot, though. Basically, I'll just read you what it says on Wikipedia. The story centers on Heather, who discovers that she was adopted after learning of an inheritance from a long-lost grandmother. She subsequently takes a road trip with her friends to collect the inheritance, on where that includes her cousin, Leatherface, as well. And, so it's, another road trip setup, really, but, another little, twist on it with, her actually being related to Leatherface and such. So that was a little bit different for it, but again, you kind of have that same setup of, friends on the road and stuff like that, except at least their car just doesn't break down or something. It does crash later on in the movie, but it doesn't just break down. They don't just start looking for help or something. So at least it does that, And overall, like I said, I do like some things about it. I don't think it necessarily deserves to be trashed quite as much as it is. There's not a whole lot that's good about it, to be honest. Like the acting in this one in general isn't very good. You have Alexandra Daddario. I may be mispronouncing her name. She's Heather. She does an okay job in this movie. I guess if anyone was good at all, it'd probably be her. Then, Dan Yeager as Leatherface, he's fine for what he is too, but, he didn't have to do too much on his part. He was fine with running around and stuff. You also have Scott Eastwood in this movie, who plays Deputy. Then you have Trey Songz as Ryan, Heather's boyfriend, who ends up, having an affair with her best friend, Nikki, or whatever. Anyway. I did appreciate one other part of it, though. It is supposed to be a direct sequel to the original film in 1974. And basically, after the girl gets away at the end of the original film, of course, she got hold of the authorities, and they end up going to the Sawyer house. There's a sheriff. Let me see. Okay, played by Thom Barry. I think that's right. Let me just check this again real quick. Yep. Okay. So Thom Barry and Alexandra are probably the only okay actors in this movie. Scott Eastwood's been okay in other stuff, but he's just whatever here. But anyways, the townspeople, they get to the house, but before that, the sheriff, Thom Barry's character, he was actually, starting to talk down the Sawyers a little bit. He was at least probably going to get a peaceful resolution to it all, because it ended up being that he was just going to ask them to send out Bubba, or Leatherface himself. His name in the movie is actually Jedediah, excuse me. But then the townspeople show up, they're angrier than the sheriff is, and they basically end up, burning down the whole house. So Leatherface manages to escape, and as well as a baby. And the mother of that baby ends up being killed by a couple of townspeople afterward as they're searching the ruins of the place. And those people end up taking the baby in, who grows up to be, Heather, our main female lead in the movie. So I did like that different type of setup, and as Heather comes back to the town to look at her inheritance and stuff, she starts to pick up on the history of it all, what actually happened with her real family. So I did like the whole town conspiracy thing. It put a different spin on it for a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, I guess. And really, there of course there are little plot questions you have about this movie. Like why the hell didn't she read the letter right away? Because they get to the house and they also picked up a hitchhiker. There's always a hitchhiker in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. He just ends up being a thief, but he ends up being killed by Leatherface anyway, so it doesn't matter. But she should have read the letter first. She could have avoided a lot of blood and a lot of chainsaw action had she done that. So instead, Leatherface is trying to attack and get rid of these strangers in his house. She could have read the letter. She would have known about Jed right away, and then maybe she could have gone about it so he wouldn't have tried to slaughter everyone. And even the guy who is giving her over the house, showing her the property and stuff, he emphasized, please make sure you read Verna's letter, but she doesn't until the very end of the movie. But it is what it is, I guess. And so basically Leatherface just starts attacking everyone. He ends up killing her best friend's boyfriend, which doesn't really matter to her best friend because she is sleeping with Heather's boyfriend anyway, Trey Songz. Trey Songz, oh god. Anyway. And Nikki herself, she ends up being captured by Leatherface after the car crashes, which is the thing that kills Trey Songz. And Nikki is taken by Leatherface, put in a freezer in the basement in one of his little rooms. And one of the cops comes through there earlier. She pops out of the freezer and just ends up being shot in the head because the cop panics. It's not a good showing for authorities. They're already having enough trouble outside of movies. Anyway, probably don't want to talk about that right now. Yeah, okay. And the guy who actually played the Sawyer family lawyer, the guy who is, giving over the property to Heather, Richard, I can't pronounce his last name, but he, the sheriff, and Heather were okay in this movie acting-wise. But other than that, I already went over that, though. He also had Gunnar Hansen in this movie. He played another member of the Sawyer family that ended up getting killed at the beginning of the film. And Gunnar Hansen, of course, he played the original Leatherface in the first film, and he passed away back in November of 2015. So it's kind of good to see him in this. Of course, Texas Chainsaw came out before he died, but it's still kind of nice to go back and just see him in another movie. And it was kind of cool that he was in this. And again, Leatherface, how it goes. He ends up chasing after her. But once the mayor, who is connected to the family that burned the Sawyer family, he ends up trying to get a hold of Heather, because he wants to kill her too. And Leatherface is still coming after her. They end up capturing Heather. Scott Eastwood's character turns out to be the son of the mayor, so he's all arrogant and just your basic douche of the movie. Leatherface shows up and he's able to finally recognize the Sawyer symbol that was burned onto her chest as he's about to chainsaw her arm off. And then you get this cheesy line, because that's when the mayor and the others show up and they start trying to beat down Leatherface, and then she tosses his chainsaw to him, saying, "Do your thing, cuz," or something like that, which is kind of a cringe-worthy line. But I did actually like this moment, her actually snapping and deciding to work with her cousin. Again, he killed her friends, but whatever. While her boyfriend was a cheating douche anyway, apparently, and her friend was going behind her back. She didn't really know the other guy very well, so I guess it's not that big of a deal really when you think about it. And you sort of get this back and forth. Leatherface kills one of the guys, and then they get like a little, duel with like the bar the mayor's using and the chainsaw. And they were trying to put Leatherface in the meat grinder, so of course the mayor ends up being caught in there, wrapped up, and slowly being pulled in. Leatherface ends up cutting his hands off, and he eventually gets chewed up by it. Then the mayor the sheriff, shows up, and then he ends up deciding not to shoot Leatherface, and he leaves him alone. And the ending to this is kind of different too, and we'll talk about that in a second. I did like Alexandra Daddario in the scenes where she was actually starting to sort of embrace who she is. She started to get a little bit more twisted. She was trying, the way she stabbed at Scott Eastwood's character when he was in the back seat of the car. When she got a little more twisted like that, I thought that was kind of cool. I wish we would have gotten a little bit more of that part of it from her. It was good to see sort of her psyche sort of change and stuff. I thought it was, interesting, sort of. And then Heather, or she ends up being having another name. It's like Eden, I think, or Edith. I forget which one it was, but she ends up walking home with Leatherface, and then she sort of like takes a warm rag and like wipes off the blood from his mask. She tries to take off his mask, but he gets up and goes back onto his basement. She takes the plate of food and is gonna feed him and take care of him in exchange for him protecting her now. And we get sort of a fun post-credit scene of Heather's parents, who were connected to what happened to the Sawyers in the first place, showing up, and the guy says, "Oh, I kind of love her with all this money." And then Leatherface answers the door, and he likely kills them. But yeah, so there's the basic story from the movie there. I did kind of like the whole family thing, the different twists on what happened with the town slaughtering them and stuff. I thought it was a little bit different. And I sort of found the ending to be a little bit different with her actually going along with Leatherface and, fighting alongside him and deciding to take care of him in the end. I thought that was different. Of course, there's a bit of a plot hole, since the first movie was supposed to take place in the 70s, and now it's, 2010 roughly, so they have these smartphones and such. So how Heather can't still be in her 20s. But, whatever. The effects, I never watched this movie in 3D either. It's like holding back and putting 3D in the title since I didn't watch it in 3D. But technically, Texas Chainsaw 3D is the title of the movie. Even though it's on the DVD title, but I'll write it as such, I guess. But, there were a couple of shots where you could tell it was for 3D, like Leatherface throwing his chainsaw towards the screen when he was coming after Heather at the carnival. And, other things like that. They looked okay, I guess. The rest of the effects, like the blood, it felt a little bit cheap sometimes, a lot cheaper than what we've seen in the 2003 remake and the prequel of that and such. And we could tell the blood was a lot more CGI than what you'd really want. Especially at that ending scene when he chops the mayor's hands off, you can tell it's CG blood. And then when he goes into the meat grinder, it looks like a PS2 video game. But then we see Leatherface saw a guy in half, and that looks a little bit better, even though the guy's like shaking around and you see like the still like lower part of his body. But that part looked a little bit better than the climax and stuff, I guess. Like I said, the acting isn't very good, minus Alexandra Daddario. In certain parts, she can be decent. Thom Barry's okay, and the guy who played Farnsworth, the lawyer, he was okay too, but other than that, yeah. But yeah, those are my overall thoughts on the movie. I don't dislike it as much as some people. There are things I liked about it. I liked certain different parts of the story. Leatherface himself was cool, I thought, as you'd expect. I like seeing him as always. But there's just not much different about it. Well, there is more than some of them, I guess, but there's just not that much to really like about this. I don't hate it. I do like it, obviously. I did buy it, but I don't consider it to be the best. My favorite Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie is probably the beginning or the 2003 remake, and I'm not so sure after that. There's certain parts of this I actually like more than the original, though, to be honest. But yeah, those are my overall thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys thought about it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and look for inspoileddead.com. Catch you guys next time, and peace.